And the Eastern Cape Provincial government has strongly condemned a fight between two groups of men from Mpheni and Nokhatshile villages in Mount Ayliff in the Eastern Cape. Factional disputes between the local taxi associations are believed to be the cause of the fight. It's alleged that 7 men were killed in this dispute while more than 5 were injured. The South African Defence Force has since joined forces with the police service in their investigation. Police spokesperson Vish Naidoo now joins us on the line. Good morning, Vish, and welcome to the agenda. So the last detail that we got and information that we got was that 7 people were killed and 6 others in hospital. Is that still the case?
Yes, good day to you, Aldrin. Yes, it is still the case. 7 dead and 6 in hospital. We haven't really received an update on the condition of the 6 yet, but as soon as the hospital can inform us, they will.
Okay, so with the 7 who were killed, do you know what led to their deaths?
Well, there are some theories we're investigating. There's a lot of speculation around the fact that it might be taxi-related. It's not a possibility that we have ruled out at this stage, but we haven't yet conclusively come to a motive at this point. But we are exploring all possibilities, and we don't want to confine or restrict ourselves to just one possibility in the event that might just distract us from actually successfully investigating this case. So we want to first arrest perpetrators, those that were directly responsible, those who are directly responsible for orchestrating this, as well as executing it, and then we will make a determination of exactly what the motive was.
Okay, just dealing with the cause of death, has that been confirmed?
Yes. Well, remember we said initially that the groups that were in conflict with each other were armed with firearms and sharp instruments. So there were spent cartridges found at the scene. And of course, with those that were killed, we will await the post-mortem reports to determine exactly what the cause of death was, whether it was as a result of gunshots or stab wounds or hack wounds or whatever the case might be. But we will only be able to say exactly how those that died, exactly what the cause of their death was.
So with the spent cartridges, are you able to discern at this point whether or not the firearms that were used, whether they were licensed?
No. Unfortunately, the shells cannot tell us you can tell us what firearms they belong to, what caliber of firearms and so forth, but it cannot tell us exactly which firearms they do belong to. So we can't determine whether the firearms that were used were indeed licensed or not. But of course, even when we do recover those firearms, we will be able to make a determination from that using the serial numbers if they're available. If not, we have our other means and methods to determine what the serial numbers are of those firearms and then make a determination as to whether they were in possession of those involved in this attack legally or illegally.
Okay. And why has SABC called on the South African National Defence Force to assist?
Well, we outlined in our follow-up statement that the area that we've been dealing with is quite vast. It's undulating and quite an unforgiving area. So we needed the resources, both manpower as well as the equipment that the SANDF have in their possession to assist us to cover as much area as possible of the area that we are looking at or the area that we are searching. And given the fact that it is vast, it's undulating as well as unforgiving.
And as it stands at the moment, no arrest as yet?
As it stands, we haven't arrested anyone. However, I just want to say, those 6 suspects that have been injured or wounded, that are in hospital, they are also being treated as suspects because we did indicate that it was a clash between 2 groups, and those that were affected were actually affected, or rather, were actually part of 2 groups that were fighting with each other. So. And the victims emerged from both groups. So we're treating them as much as they are victims, we're also treating them as suspects as well.
So, but they are under police guard in hospital, right?
Yes, that they are indeed.
Okay, so we understand that this is not the first time that we've seen such an incident in that particular area, also related to taxi violence. In August, there was also a case where at least 5 people were brutally murdered. Can you confirm whether there is any link between these two clashes?
Hello?
Hi, Vish, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes. You want me to confirm? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just, as I said, we haven't determined the motive as yet. So we can't say if there's any link of this incident to the one that happened earlier this year. Once we've determined the motive, once we are able to interview those victims stroke suspects that are in hospital, and once we arrest other suspects, we will be able to make those determinations.
Okay.
As indicated in our initial statement yesterday, we have mobilized to our activation with resources. That is, we have added detectives.
Okay, Vish, we're struggling to hear you there. I don't know if you can just possibly try to move around. The network there isn't strong. So you were saying in terms of the investigation that's currently underway?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. You can go ahead.
Yeah, as I was saying, is that we haven't determined a motive as yet for this incident. So we cannot say whether or not it's linked to the incident that happened earlier this year. Of course, once we're able to interview those victims stroke suspects that are in hospital, and once we've arrested other suspects and interviewed them, we'll be able to say whether it was indeed linked to the incident earlier this year. But of course, as I indicated, we have mobilized a 72-hour activation plan. We brought in additional resources and capacity for investigation, intelligence, and so forth. And detectives are working very hard together with crime intelligence to get around exactly what happened and why it happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just from your understanding then, why is there that, I don't know, I don't want to say it's a concrete link, but the possibility that this could be taxi-related violence, what is that inkling that gives that indication?
From the interviews that we've conducted from eyewitnesses, but that is not all that we can go by.
Yep.
It has to be supported with tangible evidence. It has to be supported by everything that we need as prescribed in our investigative methods. So one of the things that have come up is that it might be linked to taxi violence. As I said, we are exploring other theories, which we don't want to speak about openly now, because it might, put a connotation to this that might emerge totally contrary to exactly what happened. But right now, because it's out there in the public domain, and there's conversations around the fact that it could be it could be taxi violence, we thought it imperative to say that this is one of the things that we have not ruled out as a possibility.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That is Brigadier Vish Naidoo. They're joining us in relation to that incident that took place in the Eastern Cape. Seven people killed and 6 currently in hospital. And as it indicated there as well, that the suspicion is that this could be linked to taxi-related violence.